our healthy habit programs, through our health and wellness initiatives to help kids understand, right, what the choices that they make and the impacts that that has. And then we've got our leadership and character development, which really capstones through the Youth of the Year program, which is a nationwide kind of search for that Youth of the Year that will have that voice for all, millions of kids that are part of this movement, and the needs that they have and the opportunities. And then finally, it's our sports and recreation, which is the other big part that we're known for, right, in our partnerships with the NFL and the NBA and a number of other sports leagues and groups.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Grow Healthy, Help People podcast, a podcast that Cordis puts on. We love talking to our nonprofit leaders, and we are so excited to have Giovanni here today from the Boys and Girls Club of the West Valley. How are you today?
I am doing quite well.
So good. It's so great to have you here. So tell us, where are you located? Where are you calling in from?
So I'm currently physically located in Simi Valley, California, which is where I reside. Our organization, though, is headquartered out of Canoga Park in California. So a short little, 14-mile commute for me.
Okay, well, that's not bad at all. That's wonderful.
No.
So good.
Especially in the LA basin. Not bad at all.
Okay, good. Well, before we jump into all the amazing things that you guys do at the Boys and Girls Club, tell me a little bit about yourself and kind of what led you to being over the Boys and Girls Club in your area. What took you down this path? Is this the first nonprofit you worked for, or did you have another career? Just fill us in on all about you.
Oh, well, thanks for the opportunity to share a little bit about myself.
Yeah.
I've spent most of my career in the nonprofit world, or the short stints I was in a corporate area. I was very focused in community development initiatives and their reinvestment activities. So I studied international business, and I spent a first chunk of my career doing some business development with the small business development centers out in the Inland Empire, and helping businesses grow and develop, know how to do their business plans, their financials, in preparation for loans that they might need to get their businesses started and create that economic return of investment, right, for the community by job creation, new dollars flowing in a community when a business opens. So I have two loves in my life, is what I always say, right? The free enterprise system and the nonprofit management side of the house, which doesn't mean we don't make money. It just means that no one gets to take the profits at the end of the year home with them. It goes and reinvests into the community and into the programs that we do for the betterment of society, which is, I think, why I chose to go that path with my career. And I've spent almost 25 years supporting nonprofits around the world. The big first one was small business development centers. And then I transitioned to work for KPMG in Paris and developed a program there through Students in Free Enterprise at the time with universities, and helping them have their college students compete against how to create solutions to needs and problems in their society, taking business principles. And again, this is how I found that love of the connection between the two. So here towards this portion of my life, right, in the last 5.5 years, I've been part of Boys and Girls Club of the West Valley, an incredible movement through Boys and Girls Clubs of America with over 5,000 clubs nationwide and around the world through military bases where we serve young people. Really in our three big buckets, right? Ensuring that they are academically successful, that they are able to make good, healthy choices for themselves, and that they know how to move their body and engage in society in ways that help to rejuvenate and refill the cup.
That's incredible. I love that so much. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So, I know so many of us watching this, like, we all know what the Boys and Girls Club is. We've all heard about it. Like, we all have one in our area probably. So, but tell us, for those of us who don't know, like, what all is involved in the Boys and Girls Club? What type of programs do you offer? Who are you catered to? Tell me all about it.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you the 30,000-foot view.
Okay.
And then every club kind of fits into their culture and the
Yes.
audiences that they serve within that, right? We serve kids usually the ages between 5 and 17 in the after school program. So the best way I tell people is when the bell rings, they're off, we're on. And
Mhm.
so that can be an after school program during the school year. It could be showing up and giving kids a safe place to be at. And during their winter break and holiday time where school isn't in session at all, but families are still working and many hardworking families have 2 or 3 jobs. And so they look for organizations like ours to ensure that their kids aren't spending all day in front of a television or sleeping their day through, but that they have great experiences to learn and grow. And as I call it, learning without knowing that they're learning, right? Learning through fun and the activities that they get to do. And so we do that through the 5 buckets of activities. So the academic side of it, which could, in our world, could be, literacy programs like the Cooper Literacy Initiatives that we do. It could be STEM projects, robotics, not just the homework side of the house, but how do we enrich and enhance that learning experience and their love for learning. It could be the arts, which is the gamut from digital arts to dancing to music to fine arts, right? And the simple arts and crafts that we all love be a part of. Our healthy habit programs through our health and wellness initiatives to help kids understand, right, what the choices that they make and the impacts that has. And then we've got our leadership and character development, which really capstones through the Youth of the Year program, which is a nationwide kind of search for that Youth of the Year that will have that voice for all, millions of kids that are part of this movement, and the needs that they have and the opportunities. And then finally, it's our sports and recreation, which is the other big part that we're known for, right? In our partnerships with the NFL and the NBA and a number of other sports leagues and groups. We have a lot of alumni that have gone into those areas of sports and entertainment, and so we know that it's important. Even for us as adults, right? It's important for us to move our body 30 minutes a day. And so for kids, it's helping them discover what they're going to enjoy. For some of them, it may be yoga, and for others, it might be, running. And so it's how do we expose them to those opportunities so that they discover themselves and can come up to be, as we say in our mission, productive, caring, responsible adults. That's
Yeah,
the goal.
absolutely. I love that so much. And so many great, opportunities for kids to get involved. They're not just going to, basically to be babysat. They're going and
Correct.
they're learning and they're being engaged and they're, growing. And so such a good place for children to go to grow. Um, I know some people look at the Boys and Girls Club and they have the assumption that it is geared only towards low income families. Is that a true statement or are you geared towards everyone?
Completely false statement.
Yes.
We are geared to all children, right? I say we do children well, to youth development activities well, and I think part of the joy is the diversity that does happen across the activities that we do and the impact that gets to take place. So, I know at my club I've got kids who tell me, Miss Gio, we went to St. Lucia for vacation this spring
Right.
break, and then I've got other kids who maybe like, hey, we're not going anywhere for
Right.
vacation this spring break, but they connect
Yes.
in the after school program in other ways and in other connections. And so that's the joy. Children don't create those status quos very often, right? And when they
Yes.
do, it comes and sadly influenced by adults in their life. And so
Yeah.
they're able to have other role models and other mentors through Boys and Girls Club to develop as whole children emotionally, mentally, and physically.
Yeah, that's incredible. And that is one thing I do love about the Boys and Girls Club is that it's such a mesh of kids. And so they
Yeah.
learn to connect with kids who are like really different than them or even have, some of those similarities. They get an all around feel for, all different types of personalities and backgrounds. And I think that's incredible. So tell me a little bit about the challenges that you face running the Boys and Girls Club specifically, and maybe even just a nonprofit overall.
Yeah, so I'll probably start in the general nonprofit world, right? 2026 has been a tough year. There's been a lot of impacts that have hit nonprofits through just choices and direction that federal funding is going towards, state funding for us in California. Thankfully, right, there's been a shift, there's been an exploration, there's been a hey, let's invest more dollars in early childhood education and after school programs through the ELOP or Expanded Learning Opportunities Program that Governor Newsom put out coming out of COVID, which actually supports all children. It's not just low income kids, right? Versus like a 21st century grant that comes out of the Department of Education from the federal level, that is intended for a tier two school that is low income, has a certain percentage of kids in that category. And so it's a hard year. We're all facing challenges and conversations around affordability. And so families need us now more than ever to be able to support them, to be able to help them know that there's a safe place for their kids to be at if they have those two jobs and can't pick up their kids till 6 p.m. or being able to engage in different ways through their community. For us at Boys and Girls Club of the West Valley, one of the things that we're seeing is a drop in individual giving. So that is like the challenge that we're focused on right now is how do we do a better job of sharing the story with individuals who have other assets, have other means, maybe have, donor advisor funds that they've put money in the past. And so that donation has already been made. They just have to decide who am I going to bless with that donation now in the present, right? And so we want to make sure that they know that we are a viable candidate, right? A responsible candidate that is doing everything it can to support the youth that we serve. And also, close to 85% of my working force is college kids. So when they give us that funding and we're able to give those kids a job, they're able to learn responsibility, engagement, empathy, right? Creativity, connection with the youth and their society. And so there really is, I call it the double impact. They're helping college kids who want to go in that career path, as well as the kids that those young people are investing into through their programs and their activities that we do in the after school program. So it's a really great way to give back. And the reality is that, we do have grants. Like a lot of people are like, oh, but you guys have so much money, right? From grants and other things. And it is because we do support. We are what's called the CBO, a community-based organization that supports the school district in the after school. What a lot of people don't realize is that what we get paid from the after school program contract only covers about 72% of the actual cost to run our program. So we still have to fundraise for all children. We are still subsidizing all children that come through our program. And in our particular case, right, that's over 3,000 kids that we're serving every year across currently 6 cities in the West San Fernando Valley. And so we've got 13 locations. We're looking to expand to new locations this coming fall because we want to make sure that we continue to do every effort that we can to ensure that a kid who needs us has access to us or is within a 1 mile walking distance to get to a club. And so that requires us to grow and to expand and to be creative on how to do that. But every single choice has a cost, as we all know. So yes, even a $5 gift can really make a difference for us. It's not about the size, it's about the impact and kind of giving back to invest in your community's next generation of leaders.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I love what you said. And if you're watching this and you're a nonprofit leader, it's so true. Finding the finances right now is very hard. There's a lot going on and it has been a really difficult year for nonprofits. But if that's an area that you need help in, Acordis can very much so help you with that. We really like to help nonprofits find ways to steward their donors. Because it's not just about getting people to donate to your organization. It's about partnering with people who give to your organization. They want to feel included and like they have a part in what you're doing and a part in making a difference. And so we like to help you come up with ways that you can really steward those relationships and make those donors feel like they truly are partners. If you have that need or any other back office needs, you can find our website at the end of the show, and I would love to connect with you. So, tell me a little bit about the future for the Boys and Girls Club. What do you see? I know you just mentioned expansion, so you see
Yeah.
that kind of in your future. Do you have any other goals or dreams for your area over the next 5, 10 years?
Absolutely. I mean, we
Yeah,
wouldn't be a good leader if we
right.
weren't thinking futuristic and what comes next. So, right now, the movement as a whole, right, our big focus is bigger, better, bolder, in what we do. And so for us, it really is coming down to like, how do we serve more children? That's part of that expansion. We just signed an agreement to support children at St. Bernardine's of Siena in Woodland Hills this coming school year in their after school area. Sorry about that. That's Mr. Peanut in the background.
It's okay.
The
I love
COVID
it.
days have not gone away to some
No,
degree, right?
right.
So that's one expansion. We're working with other creative programs that are within our community. I do not believe in recreating a wheel, but rather looking for ways of how we can partner with those in our community and make them stronger by bringing the amazing programs and curriculums that have been developed through partnerships with Boys and Girls Clubs of America, and then my incredible team that we have of program coordinators who also find creative ways of bringing new programs of activity. One of the other big things that we do that's a little different from other clubs is we offer a program called Psychomotor that happens in partnership with schools during their school day. So we kind of step in to do their PE activities with all of their kids. The goal, mostly elementary, the goal is for them to learn the motor skills that are needed, right? When you're little, we all forget what it was like to be in kindergarten and in first grade, right? Some of us still are not good dancers. We still have a challenge in coordination, right? But it's helping kids develop the, how do I move my arms in a rhythmic area and move them back? And then how do those moves then play into the basketball moves you may use, or dance moves or cheer moves or other things along those lines? And so this is another way that we've creatively found to support and bring that sports and recreation area into a school that maybe we don't offer an after school program at, but we are there then connecting for those kids, particularly in that initiative. So for our team, it is very much about how do we continue to grow? How do we engage with children? Across our community and in being able to support more families. It's that last mile kind of concept, right? We hear it in transportation. Same concept for us is like, how can we ensure kids that live within a 1 mile radius of us know that we're there, know that they can come to us at our clubhouse, which is our unique location that we serve in Canoga Park. We've got a clubhouse for elementary kids and a teen center for middle school kids. We have some kids who take the bus to get to us and to get back home at the end of the day, but they know that they're in a safe place. They know they have great mentorship. They know they're going to get, supper or a snack and various activities. And so, we want to be there. We want to be there for them and continue to grow and expand in ways that are, 21st century leadership opportunities for those kids, and preparing them for how they become leaders and how they advocate for the things they're passionate for in their community.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love that so much. And I would love to hear like how can people in your area specifically, and really even not in the area, just in general, support the Boys and Girls Club, support them in your area? How can people get involved with the Boys and Girls Club? How can people help? I know we talked about this earlier, but the Boys and Girls Club was my first job. And it is what like sparked my love for nonprofits. It sparked my love for working with children. And so I highly encourage anyone to, get their teen who's graduated to seek, look into the Boys and Girls Club and really like look into that opportunity because it truly is such a great experience. But yeah, how can people get involved and help?
Yeah, I love that question because it's something we don't always stop to think of. Like, we're like, oh, they just want money. And it's not, it may seem like a cliche for some of you hearing this, but I've always said throughout my 25 years in the nonprofit world, it's about time, talent, and treasure, right? So, first and foremost, like if you can give of your time, if you can come volunteer once a week at a particular program and something that you're passionate about, right? I always believe we can only give from what our cup holds. So if I'm passionate about reading, how do I come in and sit down with 3 or 4 kids that maybe are struggling and behind their class grade reading level? How do I just help them find love in pages and in books and in stories? And the change that that can have is sorry, I get a little emotional because I was one of those kids. I was a kid who was behind in reading skills in 3rd grade. I could have been a statistic. So statistically speaking, 80% of kids who are not at reading level at 3rd grade have an 80% chance of ending up in the juvenile justice system. So it is so critical for us to help kids be able to discover an early love of reading. We also know through like the Dolly Parton Imagination Library and her foundation that kids that have early access to books have a higher vocabulary coming into kindergarten than other kids do, have a shared experience, right? So we're excited. That is one of the biggest things, I guess, a little under the thing that will be coming out here pretty soon is we'll be leading the charge to bring the Dolly Parton Imagination Library to children across the San Fernando Valley to focus on that 0 to 5, which is not the age group that we focus on, but we are so passionate at our club in the West Valley around literacy and the programs that Martin and Barbara Cooper created through the Cooper Literacy Initiatives with us, that we know it's critical to invest in that first wave, right, of learning, so that those kids can engage and connect. So yeah, giving of your time, coming and doing art, doing dance, doing whatever it is that you love to do. And if you're like, I really don't have a lot of skills, we'll teach you some skills to help the kids and have some fun, right? Your treasure, if you're a CPA, if you're a lawyer, if you're, if you have that type of professional area where like, I don't have an hour to give every week, maybe consider being part of our advisory groups or our committees or our board and give back of your talent to make us bigger, better, stronger in how we show up, right, in the world as our nonprofit in our community. And finally, for a lot of people, the easiest thing might be to just give treasure. And so, an $84 gift a month will sponsor one child for a whole year, right? So if you're a monthly donor and you can do $84 a month, that's incredible. But like I said, a $5 a month gift can also make a huge impact. That's what a family may have to, pay, or it's a way of us providing free transportation for our teens from their local school to the teen center. So it's every little bit makes a difference. And the biggest thing I want to share that is a lot of us aren't talking about it. I haven't heard too many nonprofits share this wisdom currently, right? With the passing of the big, beautiful bill that happened in 2025, everybody is eligible, whether you don't, if you itemize or you don't itemize your taxes, you're able to donate up to $1,000 and get that back in your taxes. And so that's a huge thing. That is like the one positive thing I think I see in the big, beautiful bill that came out for the average Joe, the middle class, the low income families, where you can contribute and give and then put that in your taxes and get it back, right? And so it is a win-win. It is a way of us as a community standing up and saying like, these things are important to us. And so we're investing in those, and you're getting that back through your taxes and your other areas that we invest in our federal government, state and local tax activities. So I want to just make you aware of that. It's easy to give, I hope, through our website or giving our office a call and making that contribution. But please do it in a way that is passionate to you in the areas that are interest of you. We certainly have the annual fund, which goes through the areas of greatest need that we may have, and being able to provide kids with experiences like field trips that are no longer sanctioned by the school district that we serve in. And so we have to, if we take kids on field trips, we have to cover the transportation, the staffing, the entrance and admissions for those kids. So every little bit to the annual fund does make an impact to the experiences that we're able to bring and making the club experience better for those kids.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love it. Well, I would encourage anyone who is watching this, if you are in their area, please check out their website. We are going to have it posted at the end of the show notes. And so you can check them out. Give, like she said, $84 a month. That's incredible that you can sponsor one child for $84 a month. I think that's awesome. if you can get involved, go share your talents, go share your joy. Kids love when people just come and want to be around them. It brings them so much joy. And so I encourage you to do that. If you're not in their area, in whatever area you're in, find your local Boys and Girls Club and get involved because it truly is such a great experience. Giovanni, it has been so wonderful talking to
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share our story and to hopefully inspire and enable your community that tunes in and our community who may catch this through our channels to learn a little bit more of the impact that they can do and how they can, fill their cup with joy
Yes.
by giving, because there's no better way to do that than through
For sure.
giving.
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good day.
Absolutely. Thank you.